Hey guys, in this tutorial we're going to just quickly show you how the professional version of the FlipNormal's Creature Kit is working. If you've loaded in our custom UI, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a collection of the general brushes you'll use, some matte caps, and this is where all the magic happens. This is a collection of around 170 customly sculpted brushes from eyes, ears, beaks, tails, you name it. This guy here, he was created from one of the base meshes, which follows along with this tutorial. And pretty much everything here is just created straight from one of these the supplied brushes, such as the ears, the eyeballs, the nose, teeth, mouth. Everything here is pretty much just drag and drop onto the model. Same here as well. Everything here is just from a generic base mesh, which follows along with the package. We have a different character here. This is the same deal, straight from one of the base meshes, and just drag and drop the desired brush you want, such as a horn. This here is a tooth, it's an ear, general eye, mouth, teeth, some fur, which is here. So this is an incredibly intuitive and quick way of doing.
Yeah, one thing that we realized once we started sculpting ourselves was the fact that you could start using different base meshes or different brushes to do different things, like using the teeth to give spikes on his
Yeah, this is a shark tooth, I believe, here. And you can use them for very different things. Here's a little pimple brush as well. And you can just get very interesting results. More shark teeth up here, I believe.
Yeah, so experimenting with the brushes is, I think, going to be very powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Same with this guy here as well. The abs here are pretty much straight up, just dragged out from the anatomy. We have shark teeth here. We have a general pec set. We have a scapula and clavicle. And we have tons of general stuff.
So some really good fundamental stuff that you can drag out straight on the base meshes to get some defined bony landmarks, and then, you know, start sculpting on top of those.
Yes, exactly. So one of the main advantages here is obviously that you can create these kind of things very quickly. But another big thing is that you can experiment with different designs really fast as well. Let's take this little guy here, Mr. Nice Blind Troll. And what we do here is he's missing eyes, noses, and ears. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to get very different results incredibly quickly.
Yeah, you might say we've prepared something from home.
Yeah,
so
cheat a little bit here. So first thing, I'm just going to give him some ears. If you loaded our interface, you can just go down to the ear icon. And here we can just drag out a couple of different ears.
Alternatively, you'll find our brushes, you know, under B for brush and then F for the FlipNormal's brushes.
Yes.
So they're all there, accessible.
Whatever you prefer. So you can just drag out some brushes really quickly. This is one of my personal favorite ones, the goblin one.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, if you drag out a horse ear versus a goblin ear or a thug ear, it's a very different look you get, like,
exactly.
instantly. Like we've talked about before, I mean, sculpting an ear that's this detailed, easily half an hour, maybe an hour to get something that looks really nice. And this, you just dragged out 4 different ears in like 10 seconds.
Yeah. So it's an incredible design tool. Like, you can just really experiment with this and try out different things.
I mean, an ear might not always be an ear. You know, an ear can be something else. I
can use this as a shoulder pad, you know, whatever you want to. You can make some weird stuff with this.
I'm really going to be interested to see what people create in terms of like really interesting silhouettes, where they really push the mesh to how far it can go.
So let's try an eye as well. Just hit the eye brush. And here we can try the human eyes. Just drag and drop them in. We can try the cat one. Elephant.
There's all very distinct feels to them.
Exactly. So you can just very quickly get very different characters. And of course you can always just keep sculpting on these guys as you see fit afterwards as well. This is a starting point more than an end result, if anything.
Yeah, the way I see this go is that people load in the base meshes, they start dragging things out, dynamesh it, sculpt some more, drag out more things, and then just keep working on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can add a nose to this under the nose one. We have a lot of cool ones here as well, like this one is pretty nice. Skull. We have a human one, which works best for humans. Looks a bit weird on a troll. A goblin one. The bear one is really cool. The bear one is really like a very generic nose.
It's a very versatile animal nose in general.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just pin this guy to the canvas here, hitting Shift S for snapshot, and let's just undo this. So now we can just do a whole different thing here. Let's give him, let's do actually skull nose here. Then we can choose ears. And let's give him some bat ears. Enable symmetry by hitting the X key. And now we can just drag out some different ears. And now we can do the same with eyes as well. Just the human eyes as opposed to the dragon eyes. And you can just see right away, it's a very different creature. And this iteration here takes you a few seconds to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the one on the left has a little more of an aggressive feel, probably because of the goblin ears. The one on the right is a lot softer.
Yeah. So you can get incredible variation here really quickly. This is something I'll be using in production as well. This is amazing if you have an art director who wants just to see different versions. Because traditionally, you just can't sculpt this quickly. Like, no matter how good you are, you can't sculpt these ears in this amount of time.
No, I mean, where vectored brushes set themselves apart from traditional alphas is that we're able to get these really intricate shapes with overhangs, underhangs, and things that go into other things.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just showing on an older existing character, but how do you use this from scratch? The way I prefer to do this is to go to the base meshes, which you find just in the zip folder. And you can just pick and choose from these. The top ones here are different eyes. Like this is a cute one. You have a cat eye, human eye. This is one I use the most actually, the bust. We have a generic female. We have generic human. We have a more gorilla style. An ogre. This is where I sculpted the cave troll from. And just a few different kind of characters. You have to have a dinosaur in a pack. That's just mandatory.
We had a talk about that, and Henning convinced me by just, I mean, it's a dinosaur.
The dinosaur, you gotta have a dinosaur.
I have a dinosaur. So we have a dinosaur.
We have a dinosaur. So what you can do with this is, I prefer to just hit the clone button. You can also just hit make PM or Polymesh 3D. And this will just clone it and put it up here. There are no subdivision levels on this, so you just have to hit Control D a few times. And up to around 2 million, that's fine. And now you can start by just trying some different things out here. So you can, for instance, just start with dragging out some eyes here. But what I prefer to do first is to make a little foundation. This can be done using the anatomy one, the anatomy brush. And here we have a nice little thing called eyes. Where you can drag out essentially just some skeletal features. There is a kind of a problem though with this, because symmetry is on and it's going to give you this weird result. So the way I'm going around this is by disabling symmetry, by going down here or by hitting the X key. And then you can just drag it out.
Yeah, sort of roughly line it up in the middle with symmetry active, and then just disable it, drag it out.
Exactly. The problem is now it's not actually symmetrical now. Like now it's going to be slightly off. One side is going to be slightly higher than the other. So we have a little button here called mirror and weld, which is just going to mirror from the left side to the right side. Problem is if I'm doing that right away, you're going to see a little message saying that this has multiple subdivision levels. So we've conveniently included a little button here, which says delete higher and delete lower. So now you can just delete all the subdivision levels, and you can just mirror and weld to your heart's content. And you just saw a little thing happening there. And that's it. Really handy little thing. Enable symmetry again, because most things will rely on symmetry here. Yeah, we have cheekbones. This is kind of like to make the full set of like the eyes here, just so it kind of fits the skull. And now you just have a little foundation here. You're probably going to have to use something like the clay buildup, which you can find over here and on the left hand side. I personally prefer to change this to alpha 06 or just no alpha. And then you can just start to like refine a little bit here. Then we can start to add more skeletal features to this. I'm still not done with the anatomy brush. You can add a little chin to this. Same thing, hit the X key and just drag it out. And now you can hit mirror and weld. And then you can start to just add specific facial features to this, such as eyes and noses and whatever you want. I pretty much just start off with just dragging out some things here. Honestly, just trying out, seeing what works, seeing kind of what I want. So let's just try with a thug ear for now. And now you can just kind of experiment with what kind of character you want. At this point, I don't really know what I'm going for. I'm just trying something out. But maybe now he's a bit like a brute character. So we can just see if we can do something with that.
Yeah, and small adjustments like placing your brushes on different parts of the mesh is really going to change the look and feel
Very much
of
so.
the character.
If you do it from this, and you do that, and you do this as well, very different character right away.
Yeah.
So we can just drag out the thug ear. And then we can try out some eyes. We already have a foundation here now. I'm just going to smooth this out real quick here. The eyes and the eyes, noses, and mouth generally work best on flat planes. That's where they've been sculpted from. So let's go into the eyes and let's choose elephant eyes. I like the elephant eyes because they look a bit like they look a bit nice. They're just nice eyes.
Soft and nice eyes.
They just look a bit nice. You can also try, if you're doing crazy characters, just trying more eyes. Certain characters have that. If you're doing something really alien, you can just experiment with that.
Yeah, I think that's again one of the super strengths. Super strengths. Yeah,
That's a good word.
This tool is it just allows you to experiment like
Yes,
crazy.
Exactly. So again, disable symmetry by hitting the X key or the nice little friendly button here. And now we can choose something like the old sad mouth. I really like the old sad mouth. By enabling symmetry, you can kind of see where the center point is, and then you can just disable it again. You can just drag it out like that. I'll wait with mirroring it because now I'm going to add a nose as well to it. The list here is also alphabetical, so that should just make sense where it is. We can add bat nose to this.
The classic bat nose to a
Classic
human
bat
face.
nose. So you can see this doesn't work that well because it has an angle here. So if we just enable symmetry again, and now we can just sculpt this guy down. By holding it down the Alt key, we can just flatten this guy out a little bit. So disable symmetry again, and let's just make a nose. We can try the bat nose again. And now we can see it works a lot better. And then we can do mirror and weld. And now we're going to have a nice symmetrical character again.
One of the things that I found is so cool with this pack is when we've played around with it, we've been able to very quickly make characters or some interesting designs that I haven't really seen a lot before.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I would never think to drag out a lot of these shapes or do these shapes on a face or on the body.
As an example, let's do that. You can get very interesting characters right away. At this stage, I'll just start blocking out some more facial features here. These are things we can't really add into a brush, and you just have to know some basic human anatomy for this, just so you get some plane changes in the face.
Yeah, and I think it's not even that, you know, let's say you're not super versatile when it comes to sculpting, or you don't know anatomy too well right now. But I think the tool is it's useful for everyone.
Yeah.
It's super useful for us where we are, with what we do in terms of, you know, creature modeling and sculpting. But it's also very useful for people that have been sculpting just for a little bit and they want to take their designs to the next level. They can really start to experiment with, you know, different designs really quickly.
Yeah. The way I'm using this often as well is pretty much, it's like you're just putting down some dots on a piece of paper and you're just connecting the dots. Like all the sculpting I just did here, that's just connecting the dots. The design hasn't really changed. It's just been refined a little bit.
Yeah, because we put down the bony landmarks, you know, in front of the face, we have something to build off of already.
Yeah, exactly. So then we can add a horn to this, because every character you do, it needs horns, guys. That's just a fact.
And when you have a horn pack, you might as well.
You might as well. Then we have a horn base. This is actually kind of cool. This is just to make, just give it a little base for the horn, as you might have guessed. We can drag out one. This one is really cool. This is one you can do just crazy stuff with. You can place on different parts of the face as well. This is kind of like the characters from John Carter from Mars.
Yeah.
So very quickly you can just get interesting designs. We also added a broken horn here as well. So if you want to have like one horn here and then you have a... just so there's some asymmetry into the character right away. One I like to use as well is we have teeth brushes. So one is an insert brush, which simply allows you to separate them into different subtools afterwards. This is great for actual teeth. One I prefer to use for like breakup is actually the vector brushes of the teeth one.
Yeah, surprisingly, the vector brushes of the teeth aren't as good for teeth as the insert meshes.
Yeah.
These are very good for spiky surfaces.
They're very good for spiky surfaces. So this is one which is really cool. You can just very quickly just get a lot of cool variation in it. I also really like to use the shark teeth. We have 3 shark teeth because you need 3 shark teeth, guys.
I mean, we have a T-Rex.
Yeah, why not? I prefer with these to just lower the intensity a little bit. And you can just get some interesting shapes here. So if you just keep sculpting with this and just trying out different iterations of your design, you can very quickly get some very cool characters. Next up, I want to quickly show you how I'm using this for the bodies as well. So let's choose human generic for this. This is exactly what you think it is, generic human. This can be used for anything if you're going for something humanoid. Again, hit the clone button, and now you can just go here. Subdivide the model up a few times. And I'll start here as well with the anatomy one. So some cool stuff here is we have kneecaps, elbows, pecs, scapulas, etc. So let's just start with let's start with the same thing as before. Let's start with the cheekbones. Enable symmetry. And you can just quickly block in some cheekbones with this. Disable symmetry again, and use the eyes. I'm just going to place them approximately where I want it to be. Then we can choose a scapula. This one is really nice because the scapula is kind of the secret to the back anatomy.
Yeah.
Notice that it's not showing the entire scapula shape. It's just showing where it would go through the skin. So you can now easily just add muscle on top of this. We have a little clavicle. Just drag out like this. We have some pecs, which you can quickly drag out. We have some hips. Elbow. This is more of a creaturey elbow. It has way more of an actual spike than a regular human elbow.
Yeah, like a regular human elbow is just kind of blobby and boring.
Yeah, exactly. We just want this creature pack. Let's make it spiky.
It's the creature pack. You don't want a regular elbow.
No.
But a regular knee is fine.
A regular knee is perfectly fine. You don't want a spiky knee, guys.
I mean, you could also use the elbow one for the knee, say, so you have like a spiky knee. It's not
and then we have some stomachs as well. These are pretty nice. You have this is more like an alien stomach. Then we have more like regular. This is kind of what we saw with the creature before. So quickly you have a base to start from. I mean, this is in no way the end result, but it just means you're going to save some time. You have some bony landmarks now. Now you can just start to just kind of place the anatomy where you want it, and you have some general starting points for your anatomy, which is really helpful.
Yeah, but like including something like the clavicle and the scapula, we can already, like we see here, place the deltoid really well instead of like guessing where it ends and begins.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier because then you can put down the traps, approximate where they are. You can put down some bony landmarks, and just generally have a starting point for the sculpt.
Like, I've never been able to concept as quickly as I can now with this kit.
Yeah.
Just because it allows me to experiment a lot more.
Yeah.
Usually when you're sculpting, you even if you're concepting, you're not like limited to one thing, but it's kind of like you spending maybe 10-20 minutes on one shape, on one part of the body. Like, okay, that took some time, maybe I'll keep that. Whereas with this, you can just go crazy.
Yeah.
Like in a span of 10 seconds, you can have created 3 very distinct shapes, right?
Yeah, very, very true. Like with this kind of stuff, if I'd sculpted a character to this level here, I probably wouldn't have just replaced the eyes and ears because it takes too long.
Yeah,
like
once you've decided on some ears, like ears are an intricate shape. You're like, okay, those ears are probably fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you might, stretch them a little bit, but you wouldn't change the design or of them a lot.
But now you can drastically change it. So that's pretty much it for the creature kit. We hope you find this to be as useful as we find it, and that you can create some really cool designs.
Yeah, and if you create something with it, let us know so we can have a look at all of your awesome creations.
We'd love to see what you're doing with it.
Definitely.